Hey, Mr. Thornton, man. How did you come to be on that episode of Norm Macdonald Live? Had you met him before, or what the heck? How did that happen? How'd it come about?
Yeah, I've known Norm over the years. Sure, yeah. Nice guy.
He's my favorite comic. You're one of my favorite actors.
I got to tell you, Norm is hilarious. It's hard to beat Norm.
You did that big arena tour, didn't you?
I did it's me and Sandler and Spade, Schneider, Norm Macdonald, and
How funny is Norm Macdonald?
Oh, he's amazing. Ah, what?
Who's the funniest out of that group?
Fuck.
Like
I don't know.
Can I speak from the outside? It's weird because like one night it's him, one night it's this thing about that's an all-star lineup right there, and Norm Macdonald is a funny motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, I just watch. I don't watch comedy. I just watch clips of Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
that's all I like.
Yeah,
I like Norm.
He's the best.
Yeah, Norm does it for me.
I haven't seen the show. I saw a couple episodes. It was pretty good.
Of the
I used to love
Netflix
that
show?
podcast.
It's the same thing, basically. Yeah.
But there's a magic to that podcast because it came out of nowhere.
Right.
You're just not expecting Norm to
It's the
have
best
a platform.
podcast
Yeah.
ever.
That first season of the Norm Macdonald podcast was.
Yeah, it's the best podcast
Yeah.
ever.
That's number 1. Cumtown number 2. Rad Dude Cast number 3.
This is you may get annoyed at this, but this one time I was listening to a bunch of old clips of Norm Macdonald, and Norm was talking about the Death Squad.
Oh,
Have you heard that?
He talks about me a lot. It is so fucking
But it's
funny.
weird. It's really strange.
So
It's like, why the fuck does Norm Macdonald? Because he was like, Death Squad. It sounds like a fucking group of fist fighters, not a comedy crew. You're like, what?
He is so hilarious.
It's interesting. Here's what it is, though. To me,
He did a Death Squad show also. So
well, he's talking shit because he likes it, right? He likes to mock things. You only mock things as a comedian that you enjoy. Like when we shit on each other, we joke around about each other's shit. It's only because we fucking enjoy each other. Otherwise, there's no way to really know if you get along with someone if you can't joke around. And I think he does that because he recognizes it. But it's like from a distance, someone could be like, "Dude, he hates those guys." It's like the fact that he knows it is even more important. To me, it's like, that's fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a show. I did a Death Squad show in Denver at the Comedy Works, and
Such a good club.
He was there like the following day. But he came early, and he was just checking out the show, and it was right before we were about to start. And I'm like, he's like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And I'm like, "Hey, if you want to jump on the show," he's like, "What is it?" He's like, "So it's Death Squad show." And he goes, "What the?" But he used to do it when I first told him about it. So like,
Death
I think
Squad.
that
That sound like a comedy
He's so
crew.
hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I better not say that.
Say it. Don't not say it. Don't not say it. The name of this episode is going to be Don't Not Say It.
Okay.
Come on.
One of the most funniest things about this is so mean, but one of the funniest things about Norm is like he really helped me out with my hygiene, hair hygiene.
Yeah.
Because that night when I was like talking to him, I look over to him and he had like literally a black like it looked like a bush, like a woman's 70s bush coming out of his ear hair.
He had a pussy ear?
And it freaked me out. So that night I went home to one of those like hotel mirrors that's really close up.
Right.
I look and I had like 2 of them. I'm like, oh my God, no one told me about this. And so now I've always wanted to like tell him like,
Tell
hey,
him that
man,
he was the inspiration?
Like, you got like a quarter-sized bush hanging.
Well, now I hope he sees this and
God,
hears this. and then
I
he'll-
feel bad.
Yeah, the Death Squad guy says I got a lot of ear hair. Fuck him.
But
man.
wouldn't you
Fucking-
want somebody to tell you?
Yeah, no, honestly, dude, most of us probably want somebody to tell us, but for the most part, we're so embarrassed about these shortcomings that you're like, please don't let me know about that fucking
Yeah.
shit.
So now I'm freaked out about that and nose hairs.
That's funny. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
If a comedian can't take a joke about that shit, I mean, we're in deep shit.
Have you met Norm Macdonald before?
I got to work with Norm, and I guess I mean I hope he doesn't mind if I tell him because this is a very endearing.
Last Comic Standing.
No, I did.
Right?
I did
That
the
was
season before.
Okay.
But I got to work with him one week, and we.
What did you do?
Oh man, I watched every single set he did, and it was so cool. And we actually got. You know what? I already got into the story, so I got to tell it.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, that's fine.
He wanted to get high.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I don't really get high before shows, but afterwards, cool. And
Sure.
he's like, no, now.
Well, when Norm Macdonald says now,
Right.
You say yes.
Correct.
And he goes and hands me the joint, and I was like, okay. And then he hands it back for a second hit, and I was like, no thanks. And he goes, what's your problem? And I go, well, I'm just worried I'm going to repeat a joke, and I still have to go up and bring you up because the opener was on.
Right.
And I was hosting. So I still have to go up there and bring you up, and I just don't. I already did some jokes earlier, and I just don't want to tell the same joke again. And he goes, "That's insane. You're an idiot. Smoke this." And And so I smoked it, and then we go inside, and I'm so high. I go, I'm just gonna bring you up. I'm not gonna do any time. I'm just gonna bring you up. And he's like, no, do a couple minutes. And I go, no, please just let me just bring you up. And he goes, no, do 5 minutes. This guy's doing really well. Give me, take a little, do a little time in between.
You need a little buffer between comments.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, okay. So I went up there and I was so high, I was like, I don't even remember what I said in the first half of my set. So I'm just going to tell jokes that I haven't told in years. and when I told a joke.
So you told the audience, you let the audience in on the fact that you had been.
No, the audience didn't know.
They didn't know.
So I would just tell.
Okay. Oh, so you just said that to yourself. I'm just going to do jokes I haven't done in 5 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And I walked on stage and I would tell a joke. And then I would watch the audience. And if they laughed, I would relax and go, okay, that one down. And I did that the whole set. It was horrible. I was so stressed out. And then I just said, ladies and gentlemen, Norm Macdonald. And I look over to my right, and there he is walking the opposite way. and the feature turned him around and pointed him to the stage.
Over here, Norm.
That's how high we got by accident.
By accident, like you tripped on a joint. But I mean,
I love the peer pressure from Norm, though. That's awesome. It's like a high school and middle school all over again.
And he's my hero. So
Yeah.
I just, for me, I was a little worried about him. But then he walked on stage and he opened it up with this great bit, and he was crushing.
Right.
He was destroying. And then he got the light, and then he started to wrap it up, and he started to tell the joke he opened with. And I started to freak out. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
And the audience thought it was a joke. They thought he was being Norm.
Sure.
But when he delivered the punchline, and it was the same punchline, they realized he had just forgotten his joke, and they didn't laugh. They felt a little betrayed, and he walked off stage in complete confusion. And
That bit usually kills.
and then the feature goes, "You told the same joke twice, you idiot." And he goes, "No." And then he looks at me and he goes, "This is your fault." And I never got to work with him again. That was the last time I worked with Norm.
But you know what? With Norm Macdonald, though, that's Norm. He's so irreverent that
You'd almost expect it.
He can do that.
Yeah.
And all this, that's a bit in itself. I mean, look at the cauliflower joke he did on the roast of Bob Saget.
Yeah.
That bit, he purposely went up there on that roast and bombed on purpose.
Yeah.
And it was genius.
Yeah.
And have you heard that bit?
Watch Norm Macdonald roast. Who was he roasting?
It was Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
Your head looks like a cauliflower or something like. I'm not going to do the bit, but yeah, go back and.
New songs on the radio sounding fake. Prince and Genesis for better anyway.
Your favorite guests are always like the Bill Burr, Norm Macdonald.
Yes.
This might go off the rails really fast.
I
type of
mean,
guys.
yeah. I mean, Norm Macdonald, one of the great talk show guests of all time. He invented something that no, Norm Macdonald invented this amazing thing that I've never seen anybody do before or since. It's kind of like he split the atom. It was that revolutionary. Norm would come on and he would, instead of telling you a real story, like if I had you on the show and you're like, "Hey, Bill, tell me, well, and remember I was living in Chestnut Hill once," and you would tell a real story about what happened to you in your life. Norm tells old jokes as stories that happened to him.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, "Norm, what are you up to?" And I mean really old jokes from like the 1920s. And he'd be like, "Well, Conan, I don't know if you're aware that I purchased a farm, Conan." I'd be like, "Really? You purchased a?" Yeah, I purchased a farm. Of course, I have 3 daughters. And I'm like, "You have 3 daughters?" "Yeah, I have 3 daughters on the farm. One very attractive, one not as attractive, and of course the third not, kind of. Well, she's ugly, Conan. She's ugly." And I'd be like, Well, one day, this traveling salesman comes to the farm, and he says, now, Norm, I tell you. And then it's like he's telling an old traveling salesman joke.
Yeah.
But
you know about halfway through where it's going.
I mean, I usually know. I know kind of what he's doing. I'm laughing that he has the balls to do this. I'm laughing at the audacity. So I don't even care if this joke lands or not. I'm laughing that he's committing to the fact that, no, he doesn't have a farm. He doesn't have 3 daughters. There's no traveling salesman. But he doesn't care in a way that is exhilarating and scary at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
plus, he probably has some people in the audience who are taking completely seriously, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's got some people thinking.
We call them tourists.
Yes, we call them. They're usually from San Bernardino.
Well, Norm had the greatest talk show moment in the history of talk shows with Courtney Thorne Smith.
That was epic. That was so great. And it's funny because
it's lived on. Who knew that we were going to have YouTube eventually?
You know
where
what?
we could just queue it up on command.
God bless YouTube. I had no idea when those things were happening. I thought, we're talking 1993, 94. When those things were happening, I thought, what did I know? I just thought if you were up and you saw it, that means you saw you saw an amazing thing happen. And if you, and then maybe if I get to stay on the air long enough, we'll have a 1-year anniversary show and maybe you'll see it then. But if you're not there for that, it's gone. And now I meet people, that around the world that will say, oh, I just saw that thing with you and Norm and Courtney Thorne Smith. And I'll think that was a moment of my life when I was 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like 85 now. Like, how is that possible?